Back in week 13 of the Dolphins franchise, still in year 3. Uh, EA has finally come out with all their player rankings, so there's not really any more guessing. The original list that I think it only had like 499s. Turns out I think that's up to 5 or 6 now. Michael Thomas did get a 99. I was pretty um, adamant that he deserved that, and I'm pretty thrilled. Yeah, there were only 4 that were listed at first, and it was Donald, McCaffrey, Mahomes, Gilmore. Michael Thomas is a 99, but they gave him 89 speed. Acceleration and agility is great though, but I don't know. A decent amount of 98s, a decent amount of guys that are 90 overalls that are young and able to be used in different ways for your team or for your franchise. Just looking forward to Madden 21. I'm going to probably do different because I do end up playing with different franchises with friends or people I know, and I'm probably going to do one series with that franchise. It's pretty strict rules and it's based off of tiers on how you play. If you're not a great Madden player, you get a great team. If you are a good Madden player, you get a about in the middle team. And if you are, at least for us in our group, if you're making Super Bowls and leading the Dolphins to three-peats, then you're gonna get a team that isn't that great, which is usually the Dolphins, which works out because I get to be a Dolphins fan and I get to fulfill my dream of watching the Dolphins go to the Super Bowl and be great. So I will I intend on posting those videos and just building that product. I would also do a fantasy draft because I think Madden including a fantasy draft is awesome. I think it's probably one of the better tools that Madden has and utilizes, and they utilize it pretty well. And then just a regular franchise where if you take a team and you can trade for players and do whatever, still managing salary cap, talking about different glitch plays that I'm sure they're going to be. That's really how I envision 21 and just being able to showcase that because more often than not, I think people probably do a year or two in a franchise and they might get bored or they might not get invested in the team that they have, or some guys might even bankrupt the team depending on what their goal. Wow, 3 superstars on defense, nice. Depending on what their goals are, and I don't know. I think it's. Oh, I'm dead. That was kind of a low hit, wasn't it? No, okay, I screwed that up. Such is life. Anyway, but I think Madden 21. I would imagine that, and I think I've touched on this in previous videos. I'm not 100%. I tend not to try to rewatch videos because I end up hearing my own voice, and I think I sound either very dry or very unenthusiastic at different points, and that's not. I don't like that, so I end up wanting to redo the video, and that's just not that. It then becomes artificial, and I try not to give that. But I think in 21 you're going to have, just looking at different players' overalls, I think speed will come back to the running back. I think the running game will be incredibly, not easier, but it will become stick reliant. I mean, if you have good stick skills, you will be able to run the ball. I'm sure there are some people that are like, man, I just really want to throw the ball all over the place. I want to get Mahomes and Hill and run verts and send it all over. But I don't. Who is that? Who is 91? Randy Gregory is beating the crap out of my left tackle. Are you serious? Come on. Seriously? Come on. But I think running backs having speed is going to be there. Running back by committee, I think, will also be a huge staple in it. I mean, if you look at successful teams, look at like the Ravens. The Ravens have J.K. Dobbins, Ingram, and Lamar. And I realize Lamar's not running back, but you can run the ball with him and put up yardage. If you go to like San Francisco in the NFC, they've got 3 or 4 running backs between McKinnon, Coleman. I'm hanging on to the ball way too long. They've got, oh, it's Josh Allen. Crap. But they've got a lot of running backs, and I think in the past, running back by committee wasn't emphasized as much in Madden. It was just kind of like, yeah, you know, you can rotate or do whatever. I think it's going to be needed because you're going to have. Okay. Really? Who did he duck under? I think running back by committee is going to be huge. The ability for cornerbacks to catch, and I know I touched on this. How are you tired? Were you a gunner or something? What are you doing? And I know I touched on this in, if not the last video, then the one before, just cornerbacks being able to catch and also cover. I think that was probably something that people had asked for at different points. Said, hey, you know, we're tired of cornerbacks not being able to catch the ball, or they're in a great position and it just bounces off their hands. I think that's going to go away. I think linebacker speed, because your top tier linebackers, like say Bobby Wagner is the alpha linebacker, period, because I'm pretty sure he's the highest rated linebacker. His speed's an 86. His top end speed is an 86. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have great acceleration or great awareness or that his X factor is, he doesn't deserve it or anything like that. All I'm saying is that he isn't, I'm going to be down 14-0, seriously, is that he is slow speed-wise. I think, and I'll check it after this, I'm 3 years in the, progressed through Madden, and I'm relatively sure that he still has above 86 speed. It might be at 86, but I don't think Bobby Wagner plays slow either. I just think it could have been done a little different. I might run a pro-style offense to get me back on the board. But I think there's linebackers with speed will become a commodity, which means guys like Grugier Hill, Deion Buchanan, Deion Jones. You're going to have guys that, if they have speed, are valued a lot more than guys that do not. Because at the end of the day, because of the stick play, the controls are going to be, where you have to face the ball carrier before you make a tackle. You have to be able to get that angle. You have to be able to get in front of the ball carrier to be able to make a secure tackle. Whereas in years past, you've been able to dive at their ankles and whatnot. The running back's ability to navigate around defenders and move around and shift and slide with proper stick usage and proper stick play, I think is going to be one of the most noticeable differences between 20 to 21.
14-0 the score. This is the NFL on EA Sports.
An upside that just thinking about the fantasy draft, something I look to do with the fantasy draft is really okay. That's fine. I'll run it. Something I look to do with the fantasy draft is that you end up having to take on their contracts. You don't get that default contract where Russell Wilson or Mahomes or whoever goes from the contract that they have to a lesser version, and then everyone has cap space and whatever else. You end up with cap space because you only have so much cap, and if you take Mahomes, can you afford Mahomes and Michael Thomas and I don't know, whoever the highest paid running back is, Le'Veon, McCaffrey or Le'Veon or whatever? No, there's only so much money in the pot. You got to figure it out. Similar to about the point you get when you're in year 2 plus, year 3 plus in a franchise. There's a finite amount of money, and you have to be able to budget. You can't go into the candy store and say, I want all the candy, because you can't buy all the candy. That's just, or you can't go into a candy store with $5 and say, I want all the candy. That's not how that works. Also, I don't know if, there we go. Okay. If the people that are watching these videos are paying attention, but Jamal Adams got traded from the Jets to the Seahawks. I think it's a huge win for the Jets. I'm not a Jets fan, and I don't like the team at all. I don't. I think they're mismanaged, and I think that since, Tannenbaum? Since Tannenbaum, Rex Ryan, Sanchez, since that era, that, early 2000 Jets, it's been a train wreck. It really has. And I'm sorry, Jets fans, if you're hearing this and you're like, man, that's not true. We're good. We're better than the Dolphins. Being better than the Dolphins is like being smarter than a kid with an extra chromosome. Yeah, good job. Jamal Adams wasn't going to sign a long-term contract with the Jets because the Jets weren't going to give him top safety money. Seattle might. Maybe Seattle does. I don't think they do. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I mean, what do I know? If I was smart enough to be a GM, I would probably be a GM, huh? But the Jets got 2 first-round draft picks for a player they weren't going to be able to keep. Instead of a compensatory third or something along those lines, they get 2 first-round draft picks from a team that realistically is going to be a wild card team. And I'm sorry, Seahawks fans, but you're in the same division as the 49ers. 49ers made the Super Bowl, and then they went out and they got Trent Williams. Like, the team got better after making a Super Bowl push. The salary cap is supposed to stop that from happening, and they are managing to take advantage of it and do it. I think it's going to be interesting because realistically, if the Jets are between pick 1 and pick 10, somewhere in the top 10, the Seahawks pick comes out at pick 20, and maybe you're not entirely sold on Sam Darnold, and this is specifically looking into next year. If you're not sold on Sam Darnold, you ship him off. You get whatever you can for him from someone. Doesn't matter who. Say the Bears or the Jaguars, whatever. You ship him off, you get a 4th-round draft pick. You take your 2 first-round draft picks, and you slide up and go grab Trevor or Justin, and you're set. And that's how you recapture the imagination of that lost franchise, where it's like, man, you know, we can do something. We got our guy. And I realize Sam Darnold's still developing, and I realize he's still young. But at the end of the day, Adam Gase can't develop talent. He couldn't do it in Miami, and he can't do it in New York. That's a fact. I don't care who you are. He has not developed talent. So, are you really missing out by... if the franchise is going to keep Adam Gase, it's horrible for Trevor or Justin to go there. And it's horrible that Sam has to deal with this crap. But at the end of the day, if he can't develop talent around you or inspire players to come there, like no player, regardless of what they say, when they're going down the list of successful coaches, when they hit Adam Gase, they're not like, man, I can't wait to play for this guy. That's why I signed the contract. They signed the contract because they're getting money. There's no team discount. There's no home field discount for playing for Adam Gase. Because at the end of the day, the list of successful players that he's coached and have ruined in one way, shape, form, or another, compared to the players that have come from his system and then been successful elsewhere, is just ridiculous. And I don't think that's the standard for coaching, but I think you should at least improve your players. When they're coming out of college and they're rookies or sophomore or second-year pros, third-year pros, fourth-year pros, by the time you're done coaching them, there should be a noticeable improvement. And I'm sorry there wasn't. Aside from I think the fluke year with Thomas, the tight end from Denver. I think that was Gase. I don't know. I'm honestly not even sure about that. That might have been when McDaniel was the offensive coordinator, or whoever the offensive coordinator was in Denver. But what did Gase do? Brandon Marshall? His interactions with Brandon Marshall were just so great. Come on. He couldn't even get production out of Jay Cutler, someone that was supposed to be familiar with his system, that had this great insight. If someone that's been with you before can't figure out what it is you're doing offensively and is going to give you better, now maybe that was Jay Cutler just saying, hey, I'm just here for a paycheck, is what it is. But Adam Gase in New York has got to end. It has to. And if it doesn't, man, that franchise is gonna struggle. That franchise will. And Cleo Lemon was connecting on a lucky slant. It's gonna be bad because the Pats have enough picks and enough talent and enough intelligence to fix their deficiencies. The Bills are gonna be dominant. They have built a dominant defense and an identity of run the ball, quick route to a wide receiver so they can run the ball. Maybe push the ball deep every now and again just to keep the opposing defense honest. But you don't see Josh Allen slinging the ball for 300 yards a game. If he does sling it for 300 yards, it's because he threw a couple picks in there and they had to do it. He might give you 300. Oh my God, he might give you 300 yards total because he's athletic, but come on. That's fine. Burn your timeouts. I'll try to pick it.
As the clock will stop with just under 30 seconds to go in the first half. So here's a 1st and 10 at the 38.
And I don't know what Seattle was doing. I don't know why Seattle felt the need to go and upgrade their safety. I don't think safety play was Seattle's issue, unless they're going to use Adams in so many sub packages and in so many different ways that he's going to end up in the box and getting sacks. Because as I recall, Seattle had a hard time getting to the quarterback. Maybe I'm recalling something that's not correct, but I don't. If Jadeveon Clowney was your best pass rusher and he's not on the team anymore, at some point you need to sack him. At some point you need to sack the quarterback, and believe it or not, you can't do that while you can't do that while playing great coverage. Because quarterbacks are like, well, okay, we're playing zone or you're playing tight man. I'm just going to slide a little bit and I'm going to gain 3 or 4 yards. Because 3 or 4 yards a pop, that's a first down. Oh, we caught that? Oh, thank God they used their timeout. Haha. But that's my opinion on where the Jets are. And because long term, Seattle's got contracts that they're going to have to figure out what to do with. They got to rebuild that line. Chris Carson, maybe he's the answer at running back, maybe not, I don't know. Metcalf is a beast, and I know I personally was wrong about Metcalf because I labeled him as a one-trick pony. I didn't label him as like injury-prone or being too big or whatever other draft analysis was. I thought he was just insanely fast, and in my opinion, he was like an oversized John Ross, where good for you, buddy, you're really quick and you're really fast, and I know you can't teach speed, but you know, is it really that great? And Metcalf has delivered 100%. Rookie year delivered. If he increases by a little bit, just gets a little bit better, raises that roof a little bit more, that's it. He's in the conversation for top 5 wide receivers. You could make that argument, I think. And maybe there just wasn't enough film on him. But I don't think. I don't think Metcalf is going to go anywhere. I think he's going to train. He's going to get his body. He's going to get his body in better shape because he was already in great shape. I think it's going to elevate and he's going to get in NFL shape. Oh, thank God! Sling it. Oh, that's 4th.
So he throws it away, and that brings up 4th down.
Perhaps they overthought this one a little bit. They've been running it real well on this drive, and it was 3rd and short.
I got an idea.
They decided to throw the
because they should come.
Yeah,
and then tight end angle because I should have Williams on the drag. Right there. Bye-bye. And then get out of bounds just so you don't fumble. Man, I only have 100 yards? I have 100 yards with Henderson too. Okay, I need to do better throwing the ball. And I don't want people watching this to think that I'm just going to bash on the Jets. The Dolphins have their own dysfunction. The Dolphins have been dysfunctional since, what, Marino's last season I think was 99, so 2 years before that they were dysfunctional. So since Jimmy Johnson was the head coach there, I'll narrow it that much. Because it's been a train wreck. I mean, the list, people rag on the Browns for the number of quarterbacks that they've blown through. The Dolphins have blown through more. At the very least, not starting quarterbacks. They've had guys get injured and they're like, oh, like Pat White or Trent Green. They're like, oh, well, our starter's hurt. They're like, yeah, why'd your starter get hurt? Well, you know, we didn't build an offensive line around him, and you know, he thought he could be super athletic, and Ike Taylor decided to ruin his life.
Everyone's got to be able to catch the football. Doesn't matter what position you play, but if you're on offense, be aware, ball may come your way.
On 2nd down now, it's Henderson, and he takes it into the end zone for the Dolphin touchdown. Darrell Henderson with touchdown number 3 here in this game, and 17 now on the year. And the Dolphins have taken the lead. Extra point good by Prater, and the lead is now 21-14. So that one, an 8-play drive. It spans 75 yards, and it was all polished off by Darrell Henderson's touchdown run. Set now to kick this one away, and
But I mean, the Dolphins have just had their struggles, and it would be really awesome if they could establish themselves as just a decent franchise. I'm not expecting the 70s and 80s to come flaring back into fruition, and Larry Zonka suits it up one more time. I'm not expecting that. I don't think that's going to happen. Just be competitive. That's all I want. I just want you to be competitive. I'm tired of doing well against the Eagles just to get smacked by some other. Oh my God! Just get smacked by some other team a week later. I'm tired of tank for Tua, but then we screw up tanking. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the mixed signals. I'm tired of the hypocrisy of it. Be good or don't. The Dolphins have been in the. If there was a line in the NFL, the 16th team, the Dolphins are at 14, and that's horrible. Being in the middle in the NFL is horrible. You can either be garbage and build through the draft, or you can be great and then establish something, a legacy, a dynasty. The Dolphins have been stuck in this middle place, this middle ground where they'll go 1-15. 2 years later or 3 years later, they bust out the Wildcat and like, yeah, we got this, and then they're back down to square one because it was. I don't know. It's just. I think the franchise is heading in the right direction, and I don't think it will be. I think it would be in my lifetime that the Dolphins will win I would say in the next 20 years the Dolphins will compete for a Super Bowl. At the very least, compete for the AFC East title. I think that's realistic. Now I'm gonna say that, and then the Pats are gonna go out and get Tua, or not Tua, Jesus, Trevor Lawrence, and then it's gonna be another 20 years worth of misery. But that's what I believe.
On third down, here's Henderson. Being able to get this one across the 45 before he's brought down. Here we go. Miami first down on the 14-yard pickup.
Ready? 50, play. Mike is the 50. Hey, watch the slap, watch the shoot.
On first down, Weaver flushed out right. He's got the first down, and Lawrence.
Come on, baby, let's go. Get excited. Let's go.
Sometimes it's designed, and sometimes you just have to know when to leave the pocket and move and make something happen.
I need to get Gesicki a catch. Is he tired? It'd be really cool if he wasn't. Yay. Run, big boy.
Man, that's the tight end Gesicki. It's
Oh, thank God.
And he will take it in for a Dolphins touchdown.
Let's go.
Mike Gesicki with touchdown number 8 on the year. As his guys are able to regain the lead.
Recently, I got into a debate with a friend about what the expectation was for Tom Brady this season. And at first I'm like, well, what do you mean that Tampa Bay is going to win? He's like, well, what do you think Tom Brady statistically is going to do? He's like, do you think he's going to do better than Winston? And I'm like, better than Winston? I'm like, well, yeah, Winston threw for 30 interceptions. I don't think Tom would ever do that. And I'm not a Tom Brady fan. I'm indifferent at best about him. But I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, well, something else to consider. He's like, Winston threw for 5,000 yards. Well, you're not wrong there, bud. He's like, also threw for 30 touchdowns. I'm like, well, if we're looking at touchdown-interception ratio, I think Brady will do better in that respect. I don't know if... I think Brady will get close to, if not at, 5,000 yards. I want to see him actually have to throw to his receivers, because since probably the Falcons, when they played the Falcons in the Super Bowl, Brady didn't really have to throw to his wide receivers. That was probably the last time where he was like, hey, I gotta chuck the ball to old Edelman a few times. But it's been check down. It's tight ends, check down, tight end, check down. Now he has two great tight ends. He has Howard on one side. He's gonna have Howard and Gronk, and they're gonna run dual tight end sets. If they don't, I'll be surprised. But he doesn't have a running back to check down to. They didn't go out and try to get James White or another running back from Patriot years gone by to aid him and reestablish Tom. So I think it would be interesting to see what he does statistically. I think the numbers will be there and the production will be there. I want to see the distribution, because I'll tell you right now, Winston had to throw for 5,000 yards because he dug his team in the frickin' hole because of interceptions. And I don't think Tom will do that, but I think in Bruce Arians' offense, if you're expecting Tom to sling the ball 50 yards downfield, he has the accuracy to do it, but it's going to float. I don't know if he has enough arm strength. And people have been, like Max Kellerman and Colin Coward have predicted this for about 2 years now, that Brady's going to fall off the cliff, and Brady's going to fall, and Brady's going to do bad. Brady's not dumb. He's not a dumb quarterback. Is he gonna wow you with arm strength? No. That has never been Brady. He's smart. He is analytic, and he will look at the defense and figure out who's open based off of coverage and based off of pre-snap reads. He has adapted to the NFL the same way that Peyton Manning had to. They are both very intelligent quarterbacks. But to expect Tom to turn into this Brett Favre-esque gunslinger because he's in Tampa and he has Chris Godwin and he has Mike Evans, he has these tight ends. That's not who Brady is. Brady as a quarterback is death by paper cut. And it's going to be painful, and it's knowing it's coming and knowing that you can't stop it. That's Brady. It's time management, clock management, game management, but not managing in the fact of like, hey, dude, don't throw a pick, otherwise we lose. It's control. It's game control. He has, and even last year when he was on the Patriots, you saw the control fact. He controlled the tempo and the pace of that game, either through running the ball, which I'm sure was the game plan, but just through checking down and not forcing the ball to Edelman or to whoever the tight end was, whoever their garbage tight ends were, or trying to sling the ball to Edelman and Sanu and make these great plays. And that's not who Brady is. That's not his game style.
In order to lead in a game, you're going to get plenty of contributors, but that's his second touchdown catch of this game.
Pardon, I had to sneeze there. But that's not who Brady is. Brady is meticulous, he's studious, he's smart, and he's been taught that by Belichick. Make no mistake, Brady didn't. If Brady came into the league with thinking that he would have to study 6 hours a day for a game or for practice or whatever, Belichick was like, "Hey, bud, those are rookie numbers. You gotta bump those things up." That's reality. That's who Belichick. That's what they've done. That's the product. That's what their chemistry is based off of. I want to see how Cam and Stidham's still taking. So now I've transitioned to the Patriots here. We're talking about the Patriots. Stidham's still taking first team reps, or with throwing to the first team wide receivers. Cam hasn't tried to assert himself as that alpha male yet, and Stidham hasn't given up either, which I think speaks volumes to Stidham, because I think in other situations when veteran quarterbacks have come to a team, the junior quarterback has said, "Oh yeah, he can pick his number, he can do whatever, he can get a cookie, he can do whatever it is he wants to do." Stidham said, "Hey dude, this is my team. I don't care. I sat behind Tommy. I'm coming here to play. I can beat Hoyer, and I can beat your broke ass too." I think that speaks volumes to Stidham, and maybe my expectation for what would happen to the Patriots was a little off, because I know for a fact I expected the Pats to kind of regress and in some areas go under a huge drop-off because of losing Tom? They might not. Because at the end of the day, that team is built from the defense. Oh my God, how did you just get burned like that, dude? That team is built from the defensive side onto the offensive side. Defense comes first. Defense will always come first with the Patriots. Anyone that wants to try to argue that, try it. You're going to lose. The Pats have great offensive seasons. But the reason why the offense succeeds like that is because the defense is stifling. And the defensive packages and the work that goes into it is disgusting. Like, I realize that Brady was the quote-unquote face of the franchise. The identity of the Patriots is defense. The identity is Bill Belichick. The identity is the same Bill Belichick that was like, you know what, dude, I had LT when I was defensive coordinator for the Giants. I can teach personality, or I can fix personality, or coach personality. I can coach players, and I can get the most out of them. If the rest of the NFL thinks the ceiling is only so-so for this guy, I can show everyone that this guy is a beast. And that he's done that for a ridiculous amount of players.
And no, it's incomplete. They had to go for it with such little time remaining, and the Dolphins get the football in great field position.
I mean, you can go down the list of defensive players that on the Patriots that tried to go elsewhere and couldn't do jack. And the Pats have made a killing through draft picks and really, buddy? Through getting draft picks and talent and whatever else from other teams, because the teams thought they were getting Richard Seymour with the Pats and not Richard Seymour with the Raiders. Now the Pats have also taken chances on players from other teams, and it hasn't gone as well. But more often than not, the players that the Pats bring in, they, at least defensively, they tend to have this reinvigoration. This they find the fountain of youth in Foxborough, and they look like they're 5 years younger because they're putting in that much time that, you know, the body might not work, but the mind is firing on all cylinders. I think, as much as I love Don Shula, and as much as I worship the ground that man ever walked on, and his perfect season and his creating the Dolphins as I know and what I grew up with and what I fell in love with, I think Belichick is a better coach and has created and established something. I think his legacy, regardless of what happens after Brady, I think it's still gonna be great. I don't think Belichick's just gonna crumble because he lost Tommy. I think Belichick is probably the greatest coach of all time. He beats Shula, he beats Walsh, he beats anyone and everyone. He beats. I don't think there's a coach that can really compete with it. Can compete with him. And maybe if you pulled like, I don't know. I just don't think there's a way to beat that. Now his coaching tree isn't that great. The guys that have come off of him haven't done as well, but I think that shows the amount of control that he has in that organization. Where if someone wants to go to elsewhere, if Bill O'Brien wants to leave, Charlie Weiss wants to leave, Nick Saban wants to leave, if coaches really want to go for it, bud. But you think he might have gotten a little bit of that from Parcells and Walsh, watching them being under Parcells and just having to deal with Bill Walsh or coach against Bill Walsh. I would imagine that's where some of that stuff came from. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. But 302 yards. I'm getting slaughtered by Gardner Minshew of all people. But I think that's where he ranks. He is the alpha coach, because if even Brian Flores, I wasn't excited about Brian Flores. I'll flat out tell you I was not excited, because he came from Belichick. coaches that come from Belichick don't do well. Now Saban has enjoyed success at the college level, and that's outstanding for him. However, when he was an NFL coach, he was a bum. That's a fact. He was a bum. Blame it on the players, blame it on the management, blame it on whatever else. At the end of the day, he didn't coach and develop the talent that he had. And when it came time to develop a draft strategy, he was taking guys like Ted Ginn Jr., pick 10, or in the top 10. I don't know if it was exactly pick 10, but that was where he took him at. And for what reason? For what? Did you really need a wide receiver that bad? No. So when the Dolphins went out and got Brian Flores, I was like, man, this is going to be rough. I think Flores might be the exception, and I realize I'm biased. I'm sure someone's going to be like, oh, you're a Dolphins fan. You're biased. You don't even know what you're talking about. Sure. Whatever, buddy. Yeah, I have no clue how my team functions. I just work here. But I think Flores might be the exception. And I realize it's only after a year, but I have more confidence in Flores than I've had in other Dolphins coaches for a while. And yeah, it's a good feeling. I just hope last year wasn't an illusion, because he inherited a lot of draft capital and a lot of cap space to be able to coach around and say, hey, this is what we need for my system to work. Let's go out and get these guys. And I think it'll work. I think defensively it'll be great. Offensively, offense gets fixed this upcoming offseason. It's an ebb and flow. But I'm gonna finish these player upgrades, and that's where I'm gonna end the video. Ooh. Can I get him a 90? Woo! That's where I'm gonna end the video, and I'm gonna try to increase the energy as I go through this. Again, this is my first time. This is the first series I've done, the first YouTube videos, everything. The first content I've created, so to speak. I don't even think it's a creation. I think it's more or less just me venting and trying to get people to enjoy the game of Madden without having to go onto whatever website and pay for people's playbooks or whatever, because there's no need to do that. That's not what this game is. I'm changing that number right now. That's not what this game is about. This game is about, in my mind, it's about two brothers, friends, cousins, sisters, whatever. Two people sitting down at the same console from like the PS1 days or the N64 days or whatever, or even NFL Blitz in the arcades, and just be like, hey, I'm better than you and I'm going to show you how. Not running some glitched out offense or some glitched out defense just because it's like, that's fun. I don't think it's that great. I think at that point you're just doing it just because you can and you want to feel good about yourself. But also in 21 I'm going to try to dabble in MUT a little bit. I'd taken a break from it just because it's a lot. That's going to be a lot of content coming out in 21, or I'm going to try to get to come out. Just bear with me, and as you're watching different videos or looking at different things, I'm going to organize it so then there's folders inside of there where you can go to year 1, year 2, year 3 for 20. You can go see the MUT for, maybe you're a MUT guy or girl and you're like, hey, I really like MUT. Boom, there'll be a folder for it. You want to see the Call of Duty videos that are coming out with me and some of my friends. Boom, you can go to that. I want to try to organize that. I'm just data dumping everything onto YouTube as I can upload from my console to YouTube. So just be sure to watch, be sure to like. Hopefully I can help inspire and help energize or reinvigorate people's love for the game, because it's a solid product. It really is. But thanks for watching. Be sure to watch, Week 14 against the Falcons next.